Hi, my name is Dr. Maureen O'Neill, and today I'm just going to show you, now that you've created your project, a quick way of distributing it by getting an anonymous link to send out. Secondly, I'm going to have a look at a progress of how your data is coming in and the responses, how you can look at it and look at the data analysis in Qualtrics, and then finally have a look at the end when you want to have a look at your responses, and then actually how to export those open-ended questions and comments into NVivo. So it's that combination of using Qualtrics and NVivo, which we do have a blog on our own site, which I will show you. If we come up here, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so you will see that we have a number of situations here. So we do have Qualtrics, and in Qualtrics, I'll go back to the project that we were looking at, and you will see that I have gone into a project. I'll just take you back to our last episode where we had created our test project. You'll see here is my test project. You just click on it in the main screen, and you can see that this is where we'll be designing. We're up to the fact that we now need to distribute the survey. You can either go through the top ribbon now and go distributions, and you will see that it's created a anonymous survey link for me. You copy this and you can distribute it either by email, you can distribute it onto social media, you can also send it out in various forms, but as a personal link. So they're just the forms. So you can even customize it by changing some of these formats here to your name or your own identifier. So that's important, that you've got your distributing link and you've sent it out, whichever platform you're going to send it out on, either by email, your own personal email, group emails, etc. Now, what is important is to have a look at some of the data. So I'm just double-clicking projects and going back into one that I've filled out some responses on. So it's here. I'm just going to go into the one that I've just made up some responses about so that we can have a look at some of the data that's coming up. So here I've just made up this data based on the one that we created in the last MP4 video. And you can see here that I need to know, as before the data maybe goes out, that I've actually got the data being distributed and downloading to the format that I wanted in SPSS. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at data and analysis. I've just put in some preview responses, which I can always delete out once the correct responses start coming back from my participants. But this is a way in which you are ensuring that the data is going to be downloadable in the format that you wanted, and it's actually going to be the right way in which you need to analyze it in. So as you can see, if I press data and analysis, it actually gives me a formatted data sheet of all the questions and responses that I'm getting in. Now, one thing that it does do well in Qualtrics is crosstab. Crosstab, as you know, we run the preliminary ones in SPSS, but you can actually do it from this platform as well. You just simply create a new crosstab. I've done one to show you how it'll come out, and you tick whichever you want on the column and whichever you want on the row, and you can actually get a crosstab. I'll show you one that I've already made for you to give you an example of the type of crosstabs. I just put in the question 2 that I needed of the variable and the variables that I would run against it, and some of the percentage figures that it could come out with. It gives me the option of changing the frequencies, the expected. I can change any of the cell shading data to whatever I need. Row percentages could be important for you. For example, you can change any of the color scheme. You may want to change it to orange to make it brighter. And we can also export it as an Excel sheet or as a PDF. And we can change the overall color as to what we want. So you can see there's a lot of data that can be produced within the platform itself if you correctly enter the data. The other thing that you may like to look at is going up and having a look at how to actually export the data as a CSV file. And this is like a preliminary run for you to make sure that your data is coming out in the way that you need it to come out. And all you simply need to do is have a look at pressing the download. You can either download it as a CSV comma, and you just simply check whichever questions you need to export, or as you need, you can do it as a PDF, a Word doc. But the other thing that you also can download it as, if you go into results, you'll see that you can, and we come back to data analysis. It will ask you here in the tools, which is really important, you can choose any of the columns that you want to keep in, or you can export the data. Now, export, and it's interesting that there's a tab here straight from this section that says export or import. Import is when, for example, you've got a two-phase survey and you may have already previously got some data, and then a year later or a couple of years later, you've collected another part of the survey. The importing allows you to merge all the data into one, and then you can analyse the longitudinal aspects of it with your t-tests, etc. The export data allows me to download all that data that you see in that background data sheet as a CSV file, a TSV, an XML, or straight to SPSS if I have my SPSS program opened up. And all you need to do is then choose, do you want it in numeric values or the choice of the text, and simply download it. And that will give you a CSV file, which is very compatible and quite good. Now, and that allows you to even make sure that the type of data that's coming out is the way that you want to record it. If you go into reports, and we may want to actually present this, we can actually, we know how many responses overall, we can actually rename the report, and then we can download the report as a PDF, Word, or Power Slides if we need to present it in front of the research team or even in front of your research board on your thesis. But going down to have a look at open-ended questions, and I'll just scroll down here because there's a few. I'll just go down to an open-ended question that only just has comments. As you can see, all the way through, it's actually giving you a visual of what's coming out with your Likert scales, which is quite good, and that's downloadable in the report. But if we go to suggestions or a comment, you can see that we're starting to get comments come out from our respondents. All these are just the ones that I've put in, all your preview ones. Make sure that you go up here. There's a tab right up here and it says download. I want it downloaded, all of these open-ended comments as a Word doc so that I can put it into my NVivo, and then I can select which questions that I need to have, select all of them perhaps, and export the pages, or I just want to actually export only this one here. So I untick all the rest and they'll untick. So you can untick all the rest and just come down to your open-ended questions one at a time and so forth all the way down. And then you can individualize them, or you can export them or the open-ended as one. I normally individualize them, so I just do one at a time, and the reason, and then I export the page. And when I've exported the page, I then download it to my computer and open up my NVivo project. When I open up my NVivo project, I've already got in sources, which is the internal section, a folder already ready here. And you can see that I've been able to create a folder where I'm going to bring those open-ended in as a Word doc, and a Word doc's the best way to look and examine it in NVivo. To bring my open-ended question in from Qualtrics, I just simply right-click, import. Import as a document because I will have it as a Word doc, and each question I will have highlighted and simply open it, and it will phase it in for me. As you can see, it's already phased it in for me. When I open it, there are my open-ended questions. Now, from there, I may want to do an initial word tag on it. So I may just go to queries and I may just do a new query, do a query Rizzy to see what the particular terms are coming out in content. And we haven't got a lot of information here, but if we go for exact matches and then we go next and we just pick up time perhaps, and then we go next and we go for selected items. Now I'm going to select over to my internals where I have my open-ended folder just with the Qualtrics comments in it, and I now know that the data is only going to be run on the Qualtrics data. I go run, it will come up and it will give me a summary. And as you can see, if we go over to queries, it should be here. If we open up our run that I just did, it will then be showing me a word text which I can then go from time because I've just looked at some of those comments. Now, it's not got a great deal of data there, but it obviously can allow you to start your initial analysis. So that allows you to have a really good view of how to actually make sure that you can always go from Qualtrics into NVivo and make your programs compatible with each other and utilize them to your best advantage, because as you can see from the Qualtrics platform, crosstabs are possible, but the ability to be able to take a lot of your qualitative comments and then integrate them into NVivo is just a great process, and it's not that hard to do. I wish you luck and I hope it all goes well.